Joining us from Israel, Arsen Ostrovsky, Executive Director of the Israeli Jewish Congress, and Anath Bernstein, Head of the India-Israel Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to both my guests. I want to begin by asking Arsen, what do you make of the day one of Prime Minister Modi's visit that was yesterday? What did you make of the optics, the symbolism, the pageantry, the body language, the personal chemistry, all of this? What do you make, the big takeaways for you?
Look, first of all, thank you for having me. I think it's difficult to overestimate just how important this visit is, and the extent to which the Israelis went to roll out the red carpet. You saw all the hugging between Modi and Netanyahu. You saw the optics. You saw the red carpet. You saw the handshakes. I think from the Israelis' perspective, it's an attempt to show truly just how important an ally India is, and how important, the extent to which they view Prime Minister Modi. You saw Modi just this morning in his meeting with President Rivlin actually say, Israel is a real friend to India, and I feel absolutely at home here. And that's really something that the Israelis have gone out of their way to demonstrate to the Indian people as well, not just to the Prime Minister Modi, sort of what an important and strategic ally India is to Israel.
Indeed. And Anath, you head the India-Israel Chamber of Commerce. From your perspective or vantage, what might be some of the big deliverables or outcomes from the Modi-Netanyahu talks, which are expected to begin any time now?
I think that in addition to all the big MOU and agreements that will be or already signed between the two countries, between corporates, the gain from this trip is the public opinion, whether it's the Indian public opinion saying that do business in India with Israel, look at the Israeli innovation, this is the hub of innovation, that there are synergies between our nations, and the Israeli public opinion, because still for many of the Israeli business people, their focus is US and Europe. And this is the traditional markets of Israel. And Modi's visit and the great attention that Netanyahu is giving to him, and the entire media says India is a good place to do business. And I must add that we have launched yesterday the Indian Angel Network in Israel to invest in Israel and for Israelis to invest in India. So this is an immediate outcome of this visit that I'm happy to announce.
Indeed, and Anath, since you mentioned some interesting points there. Now, we know that Prime Minister Modi talks about his Link West policy, which complements his Act East policy. Now, from Israel's perspective, are you looking at India primarily as a market? Are you looking at a more symbiotic relationship going forward where both countries can gain from each other's expertise or prowess, as it were?
So first, it is a market, definitely. Let me remind you, we're only 8 million, a small neighborhood in Bombay or Delhi. So we definitely need the Indian market. That goes without saying. Moreover, India brings us to the Arab world where we have limited access. And you, India, have a great relations, whether it's with the Gulf countries and even Iran or Saudi Arabia. So this is another thing. Then you have your talent pool, which, again, we're only 8 million. We have to keep it in mind, the limited resources that we have. The resources that we have are the R&D and innovation this country can make, and India can take it to the next level, to the development, commercialization, and taking it to the world. And that's the great synergies of our two nations.
Indeed. And coming back to you, Arsen, now we know that India and Israel enjoy good government-to-government relations, but what about people-to-people ties? And from your perspective, from the Israeli Jewish Congress, what do you anticipate might happen going forward that will encourage peoples of both countries, the businesses, people, societies, cultures to come together and bridge the gap, as it were, going forward?
Yeah, look, I think you make a good point. We do have very strong government-to-government relations, and I would say also quite warm people-to-people relations. But the latter part is something that can definitely be enhanced and improved. Within Israel, first of all, there's a very vibrant, albeit small, but very vibrant Indian Jewish community that lives here. very active. But there's also a lot of appreciation for, for Indian culture, for Indian people. Many Israelis will travel to India, after they complete their military service or on holidays. We have a deep appreciation for Indian culture, food. It's very important, but it's something that can, I think, be enhanced. And a lot of these efforts that we're seeing on a government-to-government level, hoping that these will flow down, and we will see also a lot more travel, bilateral travel, many Indians coming to Israel. We see many already here studying at our universities, which is fantastic, but there's something that can definitely be enhanced, and I think we're looking at that already.
Indeed, and when we talk about Israel, one can't help the general perception among some in India would be that hard power. That's the phrase which comes to mind when we talk about Israel, as compared to, say, the soft power which India professes to pursue in terms of films, music, culture, you name it, education, students. So are we also looking at tapping these constituents going forward, especially in terms of student community or tourism purposes or more direct flights, easy visas? First to you, Arsen, and then to Anath.
Yeah, look, I think that's definitely some of the things that will be discussed during the meetings here. There'll be not only discussions in terms of improving trade, improving bilateral ties in terms of defense, as we've discussed, water, agriculture, cyber tech is another very important field. But I think other aspects as well, like you just alluded to, including visas, including travel, including making education easy, including making it easier for business leaders to come from Israel to India and from India to Israel. We've spoken about the Make in India campaign, and we're now talking about here Make with India campaign, which is something that can definitely be facilitated further, and something that we're, I think, quite excited about here.
Indeed, and Anath, more direct flights maybe, easy visas for business persons?
Are you talking to me? I don't hear you.
Yes, Anath, I was asking you, would you agree with the submission that maybe going forward, India and Israel can contemplate or consider issuing easy business visas to promote, encourage their respective business persons to collaborate, and also maybe direct flights going forward?
Yes, so first, definitely India is the issuance of visas recently, but moreover, can you hear me? I don't hear you.
Yes,
sorry.
yes, I can. Please carry on.
Okay. But recently in my chamber, we launched a digital platform to issue business invitation letters to Indian business people using an Indian software called, I don't remember, the Docs Wallet. So this will ease it. Israel commits to give a 5 years business visa to business people, and so is India recently. So a 5 years visa is definitely something new and very important, and will ease reaching each other. So the visa issue, I think that we are in the right track, and this will be solved very soon.
Anath, what about, say, work visas for Indian professionals who may want to live and work in Israel?
This is, I think, still a challenge, because Israel requires a very high salary for a professional that comes to Israel. And if Israeli companies have to pay those kind of salaries in addition to accommodation and all other expenses, this kind of employment becomes really expensive for Israelis. So I see it as a big challenge, and it must come in those bilateral agreements. It cannot be within the regular employment visa that presently Israel has, because the current situation is not beneficial for anyone to employ Indian employees.
All right, unfortunately, we're running out of time. I want to thank my guests, Arsen Ostrovsky, Executive Director of the Israeli Jewish Congress, and Anath Bernstein, Head of the India-Israel Chamber of Commerce. Also, Surya Gangadharan, WION Senior Editor, who joined me in the studio.